Hello and welcome to this instructional video on Minnesota Counting All Students, a new portion of the MDE requirements. We're going to be covering ancestry data in this instructional video, which is one portion of the Minnesota Counting All Students requirements. My name is Paul Fried. I'm the lead trainer here at JMC. I'm working with Greg Gilman, who is one of our Minnesota programmers here at JMC as well. We want to let you know that JMC is releasing a series of Counting All Students, also known as CAS and Ed Fi videos in 2019. These videos will be short and will cover topics such as mid-year, start year, mid-year, end year, near real-time versus batch processing, near real-time, ancestry data, which is this video, Minnesota miscellaneous items, error correction, and also looking beyond 2019 and 2020. Now, actually, before I go into the background, Greg, who has to report for 2019 this information on ancestry?
Well, that's a good question, Paul. In this case, currently, during the 18-19 school year, there are only 5 pilot sites that are doing this with the various vendors in the state of Minnesota. And so they're the only ones who are submitting the data. However, what this particular video is about is collecting the ancestry data, which is part of the race, ethnicity, and ancestry. And we're going to be focusing on that. You could be doing that now. You don't have to wait till some future year when, for example, in 1920, some of JMC schools will also be doing this as part of not only the Counting All Students ancestry part, but also Mars is going to get morphed into this Counting All Students process. And you can volunteer to do that for 1920. And, oh, by the way, you have to collect all this race, ethnicity, ancestry data. You don't need to wait until you are ready to submit it to collect it. As a matter of fact, it's a good idea to collect it earlier on. But again, 1920 is a first year you might be able to do it. We'll be talking about this in greater detail in the video listed at the bottom of this page called Counting All Students 1920 and Beyond, where we talk about all the way through the next 5 years what to expect from the state of Minnesota with this Ed Fi stuff called Counting All Students.
Great. Thanks, Greg. All right, so a little background. Ancestry data is to be collected by MDE as part of a Counting All Students, or the All Kids Count Act, and you can read the full text there if you want to as well. MDE will use the new ancestry data collected along with other pre-existing race and ethnicity data to discover, and here's the points, where do ethnic disparities exist inside racial groups in areas such as graduation rates and MCA scores, and what additional information is available when we provide reports and comparisons with more detail beyond the minimum federally reporting requirement. The note is that it's taken from this MDE site right here. And we just put this out there because common times people say to us, well, there's this new state reporting requirement. Why do I need to do this? And for this, there's a really specific reason, so we wanted to edit that. Or not to edit that, but I'll tell you what that was. All right. So collecting ancestry data will typically be done by having parents or guardians enter it on a form such as the designation form tab of the registration process of JMC's online parents web application. This form may be pulled out into its own separate form in the future. So let me just say a couple really important things here. Number one, if you've gone to any of my trainings, the Minnesota regional training at the in the Twin Cities in August every year. If you haven't, number one, you should be sending somebody from your school because it's super important. We're talking about topics just like this. Number two, something we've been pushing for about 3 years now is the online parent registration where parents register for school online. It's an awesome feature. Every school that uses it likes it. It saves them tons of time. And this is just one more reason why you want parents to register for school online. Because part of that registration process is going to be this one called designation form. Well, they will see, this is exactly what they'll see here. It'll say Minnesota Department of Education, 1920, ethnic and racial demographic designation form. With this information, schools are required to report ethnicity and race, blah, blah, blah. All the information is listed right there. And there's even a link in the parent portal during the registration process to frequently asked questions, ethnic and racial designation form. So all they need to know is right there. You're not going to have to help guide them through the process unless, of course, they need some hand-holding. But for the majority of parents, they'll be able to do it all on their own. And they don't need to give it to you and you put it in JMC. We'll show you how to do that, but you'd rather have the parents do this. So take care of this all during the registration process. Now, With some schools that we've been working on this so far, they've said, hey, we don't want to do this necessarily as a registration process. We want parents to do this earlier than the online summer registration process. So that's what this note is here. It says this form may be pulled out to its own separate form in the future. We might have a link here under register for school, or one overall. It just says, ethnic and racial demographic designation form, and we'll let you know when that comes out there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just briefly take you through the form for parents to be able to see. Is this available right now, Greg, here in late February, or is it going to be in a future release?
It is actually in the current build.
Great. So if you wanted to log in as a parent, you could go check this out all on your own. So this is the top here, where it takes the main federal designations. Is your student Hispanic Latino as defined by the federal government? Okay. You must select yes or no. Yes, go to question A, which is these items down here. If no, go to question 1, right? And then this is question 1. Does the student identify as American Indian or Alaskan Native? Yes, go to this here. If no, go to question 2. Is the student, and it's just going to go through all those items listed there, okay? Then when we come here, question 4, is the student black or African American? Question 5, is the student Native or Hawaiian? Question 6, is the student white? It'll take you through all of the questions there. If there's changes at the Minnesota Department of Education, we will update them here. It will match exactly what you need to do, okay? So you also need to note that you can do it inside the JMC Office program. Ancestry data from the form, such as student registration, will automatically be stored for each student on the student data page in the race ethnicity tab. And probably most of you have seen this already. This data can also be manually entered on this page as shown in the next few slides. If I was doing a training list today, I would say, I bet you 60 to 70% of your parents would do it online during the registration or before, and you might get 20 or 30% of parents that you need to do this manually in there for you. So it's not going to be an either or, it's going to be a both and, but the more parents you can get to do it online, the more time it's going to save you. So what happens is this. You come in, you can add a row, add an ancestry row, choose from the designation listed right here. I've chose Asian Chinese, and I update that, and that's recorded here under my ancestry of the ethnic origin. Okay. So there are some combinations that don't make sense, and we just want to let you know what they are. So having an ancestry for race ethnicity that is not also checked. Example, the ancestry list includes a row for black African American right here. But the black African American is not checked on the right side, on the left side of the page, excuse me here. So it's not checked here, but you have it checked here. And Greg, both of these are still collected, is that correct?
Yes, actually, for some reason, this is an odd one that it bears talking about. Usually, if you click the black African American on the left, and then you go to add an ancestry row for it, it's not going to also say black African American. I'm not sure why MDA has this one, but it's there. It might be a kind of a catch-all. The other ones are, for example, are they Nigerian, are they Somalian or something like that, so that it's a deeper dive into what their ancestry information is. But this is an odd combination, but you really don't want to have any rows for ancestry on the right if you don't have the corresponding item checked on the left.
Great. That makes sense. I also point out, Greg, that this ethnicity is rarely used anymore. It might be used for some testing that your state does, but if you've not used ethnicity before, don't start using it now. You don't need to use that. We're using the check boxes and the ancestry rows over here.
That's right. That ethnicity number, which looks like a 5 on this page, is no longer collected by MDE for anything, but we leave it in there because there are a few cases where it is still actually being used by other parts of the JMC software.
Great. Another combination that doesn't make sense. Having checked North American Indian, but not having checked American Indian Alaskan Native. This actually happened on a recent tech support call, where they're checked as North American Indian, but not checked as American Indian Alaskan Native. So in the next slide, it shows that the MDA elements are defined here. So what that means is that the MDA says you can be American Indian Alaskan Native,
let's pull up the definitions here, Paul.
Okay, that sounds great. So on this page here, the MDE data elements link, I'm going to click on it. It's going to take me out to this page here and download the PDF. On that previous slide, it notes in there, and you can come here to the table of contents. On pages 75 is our race ethnicity detail. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to take me down here, and then it will show me these different items listed here. So, for example, subpart American Indian students in districts where blah, 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 consultation, and then it's going to be here. Let's see here. There we go. So, a change. For North American Indian, the student is Central or Southern American Indian, White, Asian, etc. Or 1, American Indian or Alaskan Native, persons having origins in any of the original peoples of North America. Did you want to say something, Greg, about that?
Yes. This is a Minnesota-specific data element. It's new for 1819, so people have been working with it a little bit. We have seen where this one is checked, and then if you scroll down a little bit, there's the other checkbox for American Indian or Alaskan Native. Can you scroll back up so they can see both at the same time? Notice they're almost identical. For the North American Indian of a 1 value, it says just North America. On the bottom for American Indian or Alaskan Native, it says North and South America. So does it make sense that you'd be in North America for the North American Indian, but not the bottom one? It doesn't, because the bottom one is both North and South America. So
Great. And so that's the point that we're making here, is that a person could be American Indian, Alaskan Native, and not North American Indian, or both, but this would not make sense.
yes.
Great. So we referred to this here. We've talked about the North American Indian. There's a lot of info on that page, but you can discuss how the data is collected, what it means. All on pages 75 to 76 in the MDE data elements documentation. That's this one right here. I would review that if I was you, so you would have a broader understanding of what they're trying to collect here. There's also another resource here, the Minnesota CAS resource. You can click right on that. That'll take you out to our page here. The Minnesota Department of Education page, Counting All Students. And this just, again, gives you a broader idea of why does the state collect data on individual students, what's changing, and so on and so forth. You know, I think this is important because we know that typically it's going to be the administrators and the administrative assistants who are answering questions about this process. You want to be able to answer, hey, this is why the state's doing this, or refer them to this page as you move through the information listed there. Okay, next, as you know, on our jmcinc.com page, we have a state reporting page. On the state reporting page, we've always had lots of great resources for Mars reporting, for Minnesota Common Course Catalog, and all kinds of great resources there. We have all kinds of documentation updates, including PDFs, instructional video series such as this. You can sign up for free web-based training. Also, they will be updated on an ongoing basis. That's this page right here, under state reporting. Minnesota is the first tab. Here's some great information here, including links out to this video which you're watching and links to future videos as well. And actually, you can click on these, and these will take you down to those specific items under Minnesota State Reporting. If you have any questions at any time, don't hesitate to call our awesome tech support line at 1-800-524-8182, extension 1. You can visit our website, jmcinc.com. You can send in support tickets under tickets.jmcinc.com, or simply email us, support@jmcinc.com. We want to help you through this process and make it easy for you by helping you plan ahead and make sure you know all the resources that are available for you.